Alright guys, so now we want to be able to change the weather's location and also persist it to storage. So let's first work on just changing the location in general, because right now if I were to put something in here and save, nothing happens. This doesn't even close. So let's handle that. Now with the modal, to be able to get it to close, we actually have to use jQuery, unfortunately. And it's because Bootstrap depends on jQuery and uses jQuery. But it's just literally one simple line. But if we look at the index page and we look at the modal, the button, we have a ID of wChange button. So we need to add an event listener to that. So let's go to app.js and let's go right here. And we'll say change location event. So document dot get element by ID w dash change dash btn. We want to add an event listener for click, and then I'm going to throw in an arrow function here with an event parameter. And let's see, from here we want to get the city and state that's passed into the input. So let's say city equals document dot get element by ID city, and we want the value from it. Okay, we want the same thing for the body. So let's say not body, state. Just like that. And then let's call this change location. So I'm going to just cut that. Go ahead and paste that in. And then once we change the location, we need to basically get the weather again, fetch it with this new location, and then repaint the UI, which is called right here. So we just need to call get weather again. We'll say get and display weather, like that. And then finally we want to close the modal. And like I said, we need to use jQuery. This is the only jQuery you'll see in this course. So we need to grab loc modal, and we'll say dot modal hide. Okay, that'll close it for us. So let's save this, and now we have Boston, Mass. Let's change location to Miami, FL. Click save. It closes it and it changes to Miami. Now this is all within the UI. If I reload, it goes back to Boston, Mass. Okay, because it's not persisted anywhere. It's just changing it in the UI and inside the files. So this is where our storage class comes in. So let's go ahead and create that. So we'll go to storage.js. And let's say class storage, and we'll put in a constructor. Okay, constructor, we're going to just initialize a city and state but not set it to anything. However, we are going to set a default city and state in case there's nothing in local storage. So we'll say default city equals Miami. Default state equals FL. Okay, and then we're going to have two methods. We're going to have get location data and, set location data. So let's go right here and say get location data. We'll go under that, set location data. Set is going to be significantly easier, so let's just do that real quick. It takes in a city and state, and we simply just set local storage. So dot set item. Now remember, in the past when we've used local storage, we were doing like JSON.stringify and all that. Well, we're just now saving just strings. We're saving city as a string and state as a string, so we don't have to worry about using stringify or JSON parse or turning arrays into strings or anything like that. We're simply saving city as the city, and then we're going to save the state as the state, and that's it. Now, getting location data, we're going to check to see if the city and state in the location data is null, or in local storage is null. If it is, then we want to set them to the defaults right here. If not, then obviously we want to use whatever is in there. So to do that, we're going to say if local storage dot get item city is equal to null, put an else here. So if it's equal to null, then we're going to set this dot city equal to this dot default city. Else, then we want to set this dot city equal to whatever is in local storage. So get item city. Okay, pretty easy. And then we're going to do the same with the state. So we're going to check for state, set that to the default state. Just like that. And then finally we just want to return and we're going to return city as this dot city, whoops, and state as this dot state, and that's it. That's our storage class. So let's save it, and then let's put it into use. We'll go to app.js, and we're going to initialize it. So we'll say const storage equals new storage. Okay, so let's see. Let's get the location data. So in storage we have our get location data. So we're going to call that, and we're going to do that right here. So get stored location data. So we'll put that in a variable. I'm going to call it weather location, set it to the storage variable, and then dot get location data. Alright, so now we have inside here, we should have an object with a city and a state. So what we want to do is pass those into the weather here. Instead of hard coding Boston, Mass, we want to put in here the weather location dot city and weather location dot state. Okay, and even if there's nothing in local storage, it should use Miami, Florida. So pass that in, that's good. And yeah, let's go ahead and save this and see what we get. So we get Miami, Florida, and let's check to see if there's anything in local storage at the moment. Okay, so there's actually just something from a past application which I can get rid of. So there's nothing in there, so that's why it's showing Miami, Florida, because that's what we set here. If I were to change this to Tampa, Florida, that's what we get. Okay, and it doesn't really matter what we put. So now, when we actually change the location, that needs to persist to storage instead of just updating the UI. So to do that, we'll go down to where we change the location, which is right here. Let's just put a comment here. And then we'll go right under it and we'll say set location in local storage, and we can do that by saying storage dot set location data, and then just pass in the city and state. And I'm sorry, this right here should actually be city and state, not hard-coded. Okay, and that should do it. So let's save. All right, so we have Tampa, Florida. Let's change location to Boston, Mass, and save. It gets updated to Boston, and let's reload, and now we still get Boston. And if we look in application, local storage, we have Boston, Mass. Awesome. So our application is now working and complete. And you can see how easy this stuff is. You don't need React or Angular or Vue.js to build something like this. Okay, frameworks have their place. Large full stack applications, most of the time, 90% of the time, you're probably going to want to use a framework. But for small applications, there's no need for it in a lot of the cases. All right, so these are some applications that give you some good examples of that. All right, so thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.